he just said, just email it to me, and didn't give me his email. So I was like, oh shoot, no, I don't have your email, and he didn't respond. It's too many tweets. So I'm like, shoot, I gotta be a little gangster here. I gotta get his email. And so I like Googled around, and somehow I found it on the web, found his email. So thank God. And I took the whole weekend, stayed up all night Sunday night before my meeting with a surgeon actually for my shoulder, and I sent in the summary to him. 2 weeks later, I interviewed in New York City with, or about a week later maybe, with Mike Gavinditti and the Hash Bowl team in Midtown. And guess what? I get home, and a week later, like less than a week later even, Suster says, hey bro, or hey man, whatever, I just published your update, your blog, or your summary. So Suster puts this on here, and this is my summary. I'm now on his blog with all his readers seeing, and he shouted me out down here and was like, John Exley's been a supporter of the blog, and you should check out his site, it's awesome. And links to my site, it gives me like a huge like digital high five. And that's right in front of his eyes. That I'm you know, hustling, watching his stuff, and you know, writing stuff that's good enough to get on both sides of the table. Switch. So Singapore. You can switch, show a picture of it. So yeah, I studied abroad. Yeah, just stay here. So I studied abroad. Bill, you gotta leave?
Yeah, I gotta go.
Well, I gotta shake you up.
All right.
Yeah. I love that. I was gonna give an example about you.
Oh.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
All right, cool.
At the end.
All right.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, you're missing out. See ya. All right. So Singapore. I was studying abroad here in the spring. Last year, I studied abroad in Singapore, and I had started watching this online thing called Mixergy by Andrew Warner all the time. And he was interviewing entrepreneurs, mostly founders, but occasionally investors. He was doing it on Skype, and I was like, dude, these are amazing. I'm learning so much from these. And I was thinking back to what my dad had taught me when I was 15, and I was like, you know, how relationships are important to me, and how much I've tried to build relationships with people who are successful in the industry, etc. And I was like, you know, I've been pretty lucky to like meet some really cool people and get lunch with them, but that's not fair. Like, how come everybody else can't meet with all those people, and not everybody gets to take on the debt I have and go to Singapore and, you know, meet cool people? So I want to interview people like Mixergy and Andrew Warner's doing, and I want to record it and one day publish them on my own blog, so that people can like learn the same things I'm learning, because that would be awesome if I could, you know, helping others is not just something I love to do, it's an addiction. Like, I will help Dustin over doing my own work almost 10 times out of 10. One time I still talk, but you know, mostly. And yeah, so I had to do it, so you can switch. And this is, ooh, it would look better if it was dark, but oh well. This is a picture of Singapore. Amazing city. It was so fun. You can switch. And that's my best friend that I made in Singapore from Germany. And also shout out to Oscar, I do love Oscar too. But yeah, this was Michael right here. And we were at a conference here. So I decided that's the way I'm going to meet these founders and investors is by going to conferences first, and I'll see the people pitching at the conferences and speakers and stuff, and I have a reason now to meet with them. On top of that, I want to learn and then whatever, and I want to start a company one day, but also, could I interview you on my site? And so I went to this conference, go ahead, switch, and I saw Ming Young pitching a company called Social Walk, and he mentioned TechCrunch, and he mentioned Robert Scoble. I'm like, those are things I read every single day. I gotta interview this guy. His startup had just won something in the U.S. in Silicon Valley. TechCrunch Disrupts demo for the world. So I waited after his pitch. I took this video after his pitch. I went up to him, introduced myself, said, "Hey, can I interview you?" And we set it up and switched. I interviewed him, and it's on my blog now. I interviewed him for an hour. It's kind of noisy in a coffee shop, but I took the videos. I had a friend take a video. Thank you, Joanna, and she recorded it, and I put them up. A few months, like 8 months later, I published them on my blog. Each segment, I broke it up into like 6 segments. It's 6 pieces of content from my blog off the one interview. And now everybody gets to learn the same thing that I was learning to Twitch, which is my goal with the site. I also did something really quick called Startup in Singapore, where I wrote a business plan on, again, my #1 passion, which is kind of solving, like helping your manage your network using technology, basically. And I wanted to see if you could solve the question of who do you know. Right, Amy Palmer says, John, you know anybody who is maybe good looking and is really working on some media startup or something that I want to hire? I don't know, whatever. And I might be able to answer that question if I like sit down and go through my whole network and like, do I know anybody? So I was trying to solve that. My idea was to tag people. I could tag people and then search those tags. I'd be able to solve that question. So I wrote this startup. Business plan anyways, and that's Tank. Shout out to Tank. Switch. Okay, so break from my rambling. This is the douchebag alert. This is where you will hate me. Oh, Bill's back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah. I have not given you your example yet. This is a douchebag alert. Good timing, Bill. This is where everybody hates me after they see these pictures. So go ahead. I also had fun in Singapore. That's me and Mike. We went to where is this? Indonesia. We went to like 4 different resorts over spring break. They were like $10 a person to stay at these. I mean, it was so cheap, Shafe.
That was amazing.
Amazing, right? This is one of the pools. You know, no big deal. The ocean here. These are like hammock beds over there. It was sick. Switch. There's another one. That was also a good time. And switch. This was in Sydney. I went there with Dr. Jizzle. I will not tell you why I didn't do that. And we were surfing and stuff. There was a live concert. The Sundance Kids. They were sick. Check them out. And yeah, it was an amazing time. Switch. Yeah, goodbye pool party towards the end of the semester on a roof. That was also sick. Great time. And then my boys, Brandon and Cris from Clarkson, got to come and we raged. We went out once. We also hustled a little bit, but yeah, this was us out clubbing. So douchebag alert's over. You can switch it. Singapore ended. I did all these interviews, interviewed 7 founders and investors, recorded all these videos and stuff, got to meet a ton of people, and it changed my life, 100%. And this is TechCrunch this show. You can switch. I went to a conference in New York City at the end there, and I met a lot of my heroes that I've been reading their blogs and tweeting them. I met them in person, and they were presenting and etc. And this was just my bro, Chris Moore from LA, and it was amazing. Switch. Jason Calacanis, really famous guy, at Jason on Twitter, famous in tech, investor, entrepreneur, etc. Sold a company that he had to AOL that Mark Cuban had invested in. Anybody know Mark Cuban? Come on, my sports people. Yeah, people know Mark Cuban. He's the owner of the Mavs. So yeah, he's a New Yorker too, and he lives in LA now. So I got to meet him, get a picture with him. I've tweeted him back and forth, actually argued with him about Bill Morrow, which is funny. But yeah, keep going with the relationship. So now we get to DC. I went to DC after the summer. Washington semester program. This was ridiculous also. This changed my life differently. I hustled really hard in Singapore. I also had a lot of fun, but here I met someone who I will never forget, who really inspired me to write. You can switch this, which I'm doing right here, writing. I guess she saw through me, and she kind of like saw that, you know, I'm doing a lot of videos and stuff, doing all these different things. But she was like, you know, one thing you seem like really good at is communicating and writing. And I started studying. I remembered this book called Rework, which was written by the 37 Signals guys, and they said that when you're in a startup and you're looking at different people to hire the better writer, hire the better communicator. That's a shout out to Shave and Dustin. There are a lot of good communicators in this room. But anyways, like definitely hone your writing skills, because when it's coming to any startup, if you can write and explain your product shorter, more concise, or a way people can relate to it, or marketing's better. Just communicating to people, writing is so important, and that's what blogging helps a ton with. Can I take a big idea, or any kind of idea, and can I break it down into a way that everybody in this room would somewhat be able to relate to and learn? And so that's what I've been trying to do with my blog, and shout out to her that she helped me realize that about myself. And one quick example on writing, Jack Dorsey, anybody know that name? Jack Dorsey, creator of Twitter and also founder of this company called Square. When people were asking him what his role as a CEO is, he said it's an editor. And by editor, he means that he said he looks at what Twitter and what Square could do and the features they could build, and there's 30, 100, etc. And he has to edit the whole company's vision down to like 1 or 2 of the most important features, keep the company laser focused on that, and hustle on those things. And he said he's constantly editing. How do you edit the message of your company, the story that your company is telling to all its stakeholders, etc. So that's something I've been working on, and that's another reason I started my blog, and etc. So yeah, shout out to DC. That's what I did. Then we went to China for a month, as I told you. Switch. And I decided, oh, great idea. I hate how China blocks the internet. Bam, I'm going to blog about it. So I blogged about it before I went there. Hey, China, stop censoring the internet. And my dad right now freaking out in the back still.
I was freaking out.
He was freaking out then too. We had heard a lot of stories about people getting detained in China for speaking out against the government. And of course, me, I don't care. I was, blogging and stuff. But I did, and then I slowed down when I got to China. Long story short, keep going. Went up to the top of this building in Shanghai. It was amazing. The view is next picture. Douchebag alert again. Yeah, it was sick. I also interviewed somebody there. This is the clearest picture in the whole slide deck, right? Yeah, I interviewed actually he was a manager at a company in Shanghai. But yeah, I was just we had toured all these companies, and I said, hey man, before we leave, can I just shoot like a quick 7-8 minute video on what the challenge of moving to Shanghai from the U.S. China's booming, people are thinking of it, but Chinese is hard to learn, and all these other things. What have you learned? Can I ask you, and then share it with friends and whoever else finds it. So you can switch. I ended up blogging about that. Just another like cool picture. So almost done. Brings me back to right now and what's next. And I've thought about my journey so far as an aspiring entrepreneur. Again, I have not started anything. I'm not trying to say I'm an entrepreneur right now, but all the things I've been able to learn on the web, it's all come down to people, right? And I've studied the different journey of different entrepreneurs, and one of them I want to talk about quickly is Dennis Crowley. Dennis Crowley, anybody know the name? No. Founder of Foursquare. So what Dennis has done is he has got out of school, he went to Syracuse, I think he went and worked for a startup called Area Code. I might have the timing wrong. Or he might have gone to NYU. But basically, he worked for a startup in the location space. Anybody's used their phone to check in to any place before, a restaurant. I've seen it in your news feed on Facebook or something, a check-in. He's the founder of that company. And so he worked in location. And then he went to NYU, and he did his thesis on like playing games, like and making real life a game online, and all these different ways you can make cities more interesting and stuff. And he started a company called Dodgeball, and after he got out of NYU. So his whole story, it's in the niche, right? It's in one space that he's getting really, really smart at, which is location. He sold Dodgeball to Google for, I'm just going to say 100 million, I don't know what the number was. Google took it, worked on it for like a year, killed it. And he was ticked off. You know, they didn't treat his baby right. So I think he took a year off, went back, founded Foursquare. He's at it again. Foursquare is in location. It's a new take on Dodgeball, kind of. And he's already supposedly turned down, I think, $100 million offers. And actually one of his investors is Ben Horowitz, from Andreessen Horowitz, which I mentioned before. So he's dominating, and he's got a big vision with it. And I've looked at that. He's not a technical guy. I'm not. I think a lot of people in here can't code. If you're really interested in starting a tech company, you don't have to code. It'd be great, but that's his niche. So my niche is people, and you can switch. This is the company I'm most currently passionate about. And hey, Oscar, you like this? See, I got you in my presentation. Yeah. So what Hashwell does is it enables you to tag and like record your interactions in the real world online. It's very similar to customer relationship management. If anyone's ever used CRM before. And for example, so here's what I'm doing with it. I'm on Skype. I'm having a Skype conversation with Oscar. And I'm using Twitter. You can also use email to get his profile or whatever. And I'm tagging it. And I'm going to put a note with it or describe Oscar, etc. And then it puts it in a time graph, or like a timeline about my relationship with Oscar. Okay? And if you think about it, if you talk about like your relationship timeline, so I have this business card here, my boy Bill. Normally what I do is I write a little note, right, on the card, and I describe Bill. So I have CEO Club, the man, Boston, Ghana, whatever. Tags about Bill. And then I would take this card when I get home if I'm at a conference, and it would beep, and it's in a stack of hundreds of other business cards. And you know, there's different ways you can try to make it useful. I can follow up with Bill, send him an email, or you can use Hashwell. And you can tag just met. And I can do it from my phone, right here. And I can say location too. Say we just met at Clarkson